Part 150. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1491. Senior brother Ye, Wei has fully recovered, don't worry. In the sect master's hall, Sun Qiniang found Ye. She did not tell the process, but directly talked about the result. Is everything okay? It's really great. Ye was overjoyed and wanted to get up, but was unable to do so because of his weakness. Well, it's really okay. She will come out after some time. However, the rest of you should not stay in Lingjian section, otherwise, if Zuyun comes back, no one will help you. Sun Qiniang doesn't understand alchemy. Ye's magical weapon has been destroyed, so she can't help him much. As for Lian Nishang, she was even more helpless. What about you? Ye heard the underlying meaning. I'm going to pay homage to my two brothers, and then I plan to go into seclusion and practice. Sun Qiniang smiled and then walked towards the back mountain. Eldest brother, second brother, maybe this is the best result. Zuyun kills you. If I defeat Wei and become her Taoist companion, I'm afraid you will vomit 3 liters of blood if you know it. But don't worry, my little sister will definitely find a suitable husband in the future. If nothing happens, she will beat up Zuyun to vent her anger, so that you can be happy. As she talked, Sun Qiniang cried. She covered her mouth and cried silently. This sitting lasted a whole day. At dawn, the east lit up with the white color of fish belly. Sun Qiniang took up the wind dragon thunder sword and galloped towards the west. She had already thought of her destination. Chuzhu, 100,000 mountains, Yejia village. She has to practice swordsmanship hard until she can't break through, and then she will be released. Or maybe evil cultivators from the spiritual world are killing people in the mortal world. However, she believed that Zuyun could join forces with Lengbing to defeat the evil cultivator. At the same time, there is endless help. I believe you can do it. Sun Qiniang murmured to herself, but she was thinking in her heart that she would never be seen again. Lost Sword Cliff. Meng Wei recovered from his injury. The main damage to the body came from the few blows Sun Qiniang stabbed with the Wind and Thunder Dragon sword. But fortunately, Sun Qiniang was just trying to divert Nujiao's attention, so it was naturally impossible for her to kill her. Otherwise, Meng Wei would be on the verge of death as soon as he regained his body, and there would be no place to cry. Following the path down the mountain and out of the misty sword cliff, Meng Wei met Ye who was waiting here. Elder Ye, what are you? Meng Wei was greatly surprised. After Ye was injured by Huang Laoxi, he was seriously injured when he appeared at the bottom of the misty sword cliff. Originally, the crisis in the Lingjian sect had been resolved, and he should rest in peace and recuperate. Junior sister, let's go. Ye said expressionlessly. Qiniang is gone. Meng Wei exclaimed in shock, did she say where she went? I don't know. Ye turned around and looked into the distance. She sat in front of her brother's grave all night last night, and left suddenly at dawn without leaving a word. But before that, she tell me to stay here and wait for Zuyun's return. The dream is endless and speechless for a long time. In that case, then you can stay here. Young palace master, are you leaving? Ye was a little surprised, because the blood holes on Meng Wei's body were too obvious, and his clothes were all torn. Go out to do some errands and then come back. Since an evil cultivator is here, there may be a second or third person. Ye was speechless and could only say, then I wish you a safe journey, young palace master. I'll be back soon, Meng Wei said with a smile, you have nothing to worry about. From Nujiao's memory, she knew where the magic knife was, and she had to go there in order to get the spiritual weapon in her hands. The magic sword is a magic weapon, but she can use the Skyfire Dragon to temper it. She even thought about letting the Skyfire Dragon burn the weapon spirit to death, and then let it enter it and become the weapon spirit. In this way, this magic sword will not have any possibility of turning her into a demon again. She was originally a servile demon eye. After appearing in Huangming Xing, under the influence of Fang Tiandao, the demon eye turned into a human form and became a real human being. But if there is still pure demonic energy around him, there may be hidden dangers. The magic knife is made of fairy materials, so it would be a pity to give it up. That's why Meng Wei came up with this strategy. After leaving Lingjian sect, there was no one at the foot of the mountain. Not to mention a monk, not even a mortal. I'm afraid he was scared away by Huang Laoxi. Curling his lips, Meng Wei also sighed slightly. Without thinking much, he rushed towards the sea. At the same time, 3 days have passed. In Moyo sect, Zhu Yun and others came to Lengbing. And a group of demon cultivators who have overcome the tribulation. Fellow Daoist Leng, you went to such great lengths to interrupt our retreat just to come to see this void refining stage. If you had told me in advance, there would be no need for me to come here. All the demon cultivators looked at Zhu Yun in disbelief, and one of them went straight to the point and expressed dissatisfaction with Lengbing. Lengbing had already expected this, so he laughed, but then he waved his hand and summoned the thorn demon. Damn it, if I had said it too early, this plan would have failed. That's all, if anyone doesn't accept it, come up and fight first. A demon cultivator's face suddenly turned cold and said, Lengbing, but now that you have a demon beast as your pet, do you want to be our enemy? Or do you want to become the dog of a righteous cultivator? In my opinion, he is worse than a dog. If he were to work for someone in the tribulation stage, I wouldn't say anything. But in the void refining stage? I can just crush him to death. Lengbing, don't be arrogant. Considering our fellow Daoists, we don't want to fight with you here, lest we attract evil cultivators. The demon cultivators expressed their dissatisfaction and said they didn't want to fight. Zhu Yun saw that these demon cultivators were really selfish. In other words, they didn't care about the spiritual world. They only cared about cultivating themselves, and if they could ascend, they could just leave this place. When he was about to speak, a ray of light suddenly flew by. He, Leng Daiyu is not my master's dog, I am. Wherever the ray of light went, a sweet laugh reached everyone's ears. The aura of the tribulation period dissipated immediately. Is this, Fairy Xianxia? Everyone was like seeing a ghost. If Lengbing spoke for Zhu Yun, there was still a trace to follow. After all, since ancient times, there have been righteous and evil cultivators who exchanged what they have because of their different cultivation. Although there is a difference in realm between the crossing tribulation stage and the refining void stage, it is not impossible. But Fairy Xianxia is a serious cultivator of the righteous way. Although she is a casual cultivator, these people know her. She actually calls herself a dog. What happened in these years? In the shocked look of the crowd, the rosy clouds condensed into a ball, and then turned into a figure. Fairy Xianxia knelt down in front of Zhu Yun. Hello, Master. Xianxia is a step late. I hope you will forgive me. Zhu Yun smiled. Fairy Xianxia's attitude was a bit too much. But it must be said that the effect was very good. He moved his mind and took out a bead with 7 rainbow lights from the storage ring. This rosy light spirit bead is a reward for you. Rosy light spirit bead? Unheard of. But everyone present was knowledgeable and saw that the spirit bead was a precious treasure of heaven and earth. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1492. This Xiaoguang spirit pearl was also brought up by an immortal below when he used the chaos incarnation to deal with the yang fire. However, Zhu Yun could not use it at that time, so he directly put it into the storage ring. There is always a possibility that an extraordinary spirit pearl will appear among 1.5 million immortals. For them, it is like the spirit stone in Zhu Yun's hand, or even worse than the spirit stone. Spirit stones can at least be used for cultivation. But they cannot use spirit pearls for cultivation. The reason why Zhu Yun asked Tu Yu to call Fairy Xianxia over was actually to give this Xiaoguang spirit pearl to her. But unexpectedly, it just happened to be in line with the scene here. In their opinion, such a treasure was given to Fairy Xianxia. Not to mention the word reward mentioned by Zhu Yun, who was in the refining void period. In addition, Leng Bing praised Zhu Yun so much, could it be that this boy had some unknown means? Thank you, Master. Fairy Xianxia was even more unbelievable. Although the Xiaoguang spiritual power she cultivated was powerful, it was extremely difficult to transform spiritual power. Even if he was in the tribulation crossing stage, it was still the same. Otherwise, he would not have been trapped in this realm for so long, and finally had to step into the Ascension secret realm to seek a way to break through the realm. And this spirit bead obviously gave her a hope of ascending. It's okay, Zhu Yun smiled slightly, and said, this is prepared for you. Now, you go back to the Xianguang section. The evil cultivators are rampant. If you don't protect the Xianguang sect, I'm afraid it will suffer a disaster. Fairy Xianxia suppressed her excitement and said, Master, please rest assured that no one dares to provoke the Xianguang sect for the time being. Let's wait for me to teach these people a lesson. With this Xiaoguang spirit bead in hand, Fairy Xianxia was not afraid at all, and looked at everyone with a proud face. That confident look immediately scared all the demon cultivators. Fairy Xianxia, let's talk nicely. Yes, we don't recognize your master. Fellow Daoist Zhu, everything is a misunderstanding. These demon cultivators immediately withdrew and put down their faces. They were originally unhappy because Zhu Yun's realm was not enough. But it seemed that the two tribulation crossing stages in front of Zhu Yun were equal to them. If they didn't know what was good for them, they might suffer. Zhu Yun raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, misunderstanding. It must be a misunderstanding. It's really that fellow Daoist Zhu's realm is too unexpected. The demon cultivator who had called out the most before lowered his head. Zhu Yun was unreasonable and said, letting fellow Daoist Leng call you over is already giving enough face. If I call you personally, I'm afraid you will attack directly, right? This. The demon cultivators looked extremely embarrassed. Let alone the void refining stage, if the Mahayana stage dared to disturb their retreat, they would be killed with a palm. The spiritual world is in danger, we cultivators should unite as one, Zhu Yun shouted coldly, and then looked outside, the rise and fall of the spiritual world, we are all responsible. You don't care, I don't care, one day, you and I will be killed by evil cultivators. It's not that I, Zhu Yun, have any kindness, it's just that you don't know how many dangers there will be on the road to cultivation. The momentum suppressed them, and now they dared not refute what Zhu Yun said, which also gave Zhu Yun the opportunity to speak out his thoughts. Thinking back to the past, you were suppressed by the evil cultivators and forced to retreat. The evil cultivators are also like this now. Do you still want to shrink your heads and be turtles? The evil cultivators' cultivation methods are getting more evil, the stronger they are. They regard us cultivators as resources for cultivation, and if we are conservative, we will sooner or later be affected. Who of you can guarantee that you can ascend safely before the evil methods of the evil cultivators fall on your heads? If you can easily break through, you will surely not close the door to cultivate that useless free immortal. This remark made all the demon cultivators feel ashamed. Because Zhu Yun really said what they thought in their hearts. Everyone is in the tribulation crossing stage. Even if the evil cultivators are born, they will only start from cultivators with low realms. The butcher's knife will fall on them in the end. It is better to let my fellow Taoist die than to let me die. What if we can ascend before that? But Zhu Yun said a cruel fact again. They couldn't ascend back then, so why can they suddenly realize the truth and ascend now? Who can guarantee it? Then, fellow Deists, what should we do? A demon cultivator stood up. He had been persuaded by Zuyun. Only when the evil cultivators were eliminated could they stay in the spirit world safely. Even if they felt shackled, they could go out for a walk. The spirit world is huge, and the mortal world is numerous. Perhaps, one day on the road, they will be able to understand the truth of heaven and ascend to heaven. Zuyun looked around at everyone and said, "You are all the ancestors of various sections. It shouldn't be difficult to summon all the cultivators of your respective sects. It's not difficult. Although we are in seclusion, it's not difficult to issue an order." Someone spoke up and the others nodded. "That's it," Zuyun also said, "it's a serious matter. There are countless evil cultivators and they don't know how strong they are. And they are actually afraid of it. What do you know, fellow Deists?" All the demon cultivators were shocked. "Simple," Zuyun said calmly, "evil cultivators follow the crooked and evil ways, going against the will of heaven, and even against heaven. Therefore, they need to use evil methods to protect themselves and avoid the investigation of the heavenly Deo. As long as we break their protection, the heavenly Deo will surely take action. When the thunder comes, these evil cultivators will surely be wiped out. Therefore, to deal with evil cultivators, we should not fight them to death, but think of ways and brainstorm to find out how to break their evil methods of protection." The demon cultivators suddenly realized. No wonder, since they went into seclusion, most of the evil cultivators have also been in seclusion, just to avoid the heavenly Deo. Zuyun said again, "Before, they may have used the Kunlun Immortal Mountain to block the heavenly Deo's induction. Now that they have come out, Kunlun must have had some accidents. So, the first thing, is to go to Kunlun first." When saying this, Zuyun also understood. Why is the Jiden sect in Kunlun Mountain? Because only in this way can they use Kunlun Mountain to block the aura of the extreme demons and do the things of the demon clan. Fortunately, the Jiden sect has been completely destroyed. A demon cultivator asked, "Fellow Deists, do you mean that we should go to Kunlun Mountain to meet up?" "Yes," Zuyun nodded, "in Kunlun Mountain, the Jiden sect has been destroyed. You can meet up at the Jiden sect. Fellow Deist Leng and I have an important matter to do. In that case, we will meet again at the Jiden sect." A demon cultivator bowed and left. The other demon cultivators also said hello and returned to their respective sects. Zuyun persuaded them. Rather than staying in the Nine Netherworld and waiting for others to kill them, it is better to go directly to Kunlun. The demons are all in the Nine Netherworld, while the righteous and demon cultivators are mostly in the heavenly world. Gathering all the people in the spirit world in Kunlun will also save those evil cultivators from defeating them one by one. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1493. From the tense moment at the beginning, the demon cultivators suddenly dispersed, leaving only Zuyun and the others. "This is only the time for a cup of tea. Master, this is returned to you." Fairy Xianxia was a little reluctant and took out the glowing pearl. Zuyun was stunned. "What do you want me to do for you? I just gave it to you." But Fairy Xianxia couldn't believe that she had never looked for such a treasure before. There was even a period of time, hundreds of years, when she traveled through countless secret realms, large and small, but she never found a treasure that would help her practice. "It's nothing special," Zuyun said with a smile, "it's just a gift to you. Do you still remember that I said I wanted to give you a good fortune? Is this the destiny?" Fairy Xianxia was overjoyed. This kind of spiritual pearl is indeed a blessing. Ordinary spiritual beads are not considered worthy of ordinary monks. but Ziyiguanglingzi definitely can. But Zhu Yun shook his head and said with a smile, what kind of fortune is this? This is just a reward for protecting the Xianguang sect during this period. Zhu Yun has never been stingy with those who are loyal to him. When things in the mortal world were over and Fairy Xianxia had not ascended yet, he would not mind asking if she was willing to come to his world of the universe. Then, what is creation? Fairy Xianxia suddenly became excited. What else could it be? Ascension, of course. Of course, if you suddenly attain the great Dao one day and ascend during the day, then your good fortune will be gone. Zhu Yun said jokingly, but Fairy Xiaxia's heart suddenly twitched. Because if she ascends one day, it will be inseparable from this glowing pearl. But am I willing to ascend one day without Zhu Yun knowing anything about it? She took the glowing pearl in a daze and suddenly made a decision. Even if he ascends, he must be suppressed until the spiritual world is at peace. Otherwise, she is obsessed with it. Admittedly, meeting Zhu Yun was not a pleasant experience. But there are people in the mortal world who don't know each other without fighting, so what's wrong with monks in the spiritual world? Master, don't worry, I will definitely guard the Xianguang sect. Fairy Xianxia said seriously. Fellow Daoist Leng and I still have things to do. In this case, you go to Xianguang sect and tell all the disciples to go to Kunlun together. If you don't want to, there is no need to force it. Zhu Yun thought for a moment and then ordered. He and Leng Bing were going to Bifen realm, and they didn't know when they would be able to come back. At the same time, he also has a little selfishness. It is to temporarily leave the spirit world to allow the integration of Qingping Immortal Kingdom and Dazhu world to be more complete, so as to see if he will improve his strength again. When the battle with the evil cultivator is about to begin, the more strength he has, the more vitality he will have. Yes, Master. I'll go right away. Fairy Xianxia held her hand, and then quickly disappeared. Leng Bing then said, Friend Zhu, shall we set off now? Nature. Zhu Yun agreed immediately, and the two of them quickly set off. A few days later, they appeared in the Arctic ice field. Do you know how to get to Bifen realm? Zhu Yun was kicked down by Ye Yuan at that time and did not remember how he got there. On the contrary, Leng Bing said that he had been to the Arctic ice field. Follow me, there is a passage here, but you have to follow it, otherwise you may get lost. As strong as the tribulation stage, Leng Bing did not dare to neglect, and reminded Zhu Yundao solemnly. Zhu Yun nodded and followed Leng Bing into the wild sea. Dive all the way down, and soon they discovered a whirlpool. Following the whirlpool, Zhu Yun discovered a formation after diving for who knows how long. The array pattern flickered on and off, but through the bright moments, Zhu Yun was able to discover that this was a teleportation array. He also suddenly remembered something. Whether in the Eastern Mortal Realm or in the Qingping Fairy Kingdom, the teleportation arrays seem to be roughly similar. Although there are slight changes, they still have the same purpose. It seems that I should discuss it with City Lord Shui if I have the chance. He is the immortal root of space. Maybe I can understand some of the ways of space and fully master the method of teleportation array. With a whisper, Leng Bing suddenly said, Bless you, fellow Taoist, come quickly. As soon as the words fell, Leng Bing suddenly stepped on the bottom of the sea, and Zhu Yun quickly followed. The formation suddenly lit up, and the two of them felt their eyes flash and appeared in a valley. The valley was filled with smoke, but Zhu Yun looked strange. Best wishes, fellow Taoist, and please follow me. If you go wrong, you may end up somewhere else. Leng Bing looked intently, as if he was judging the terrain and figuring out the direction. Zhu Yun sighed and said, Fellow Daoist Leng, I thought the passage you were talking about would lead directly to the ruins, but it turns out, isn't this the passage between the mortal world and the spiritual world? Zhu Yun was extremely familiar with this valley. It is the main passage from the four mortal worlds to the spiritual world. Depending on the mortal world you are in, you can reach the spiritual world by going in the corresponding direction. If you look in another direction, you will go directly to other mortal realms. However, he didn't know how to go back to the northern mortal world from the spiritual world. Hey, you know. Zhu Yun's words stunned Leng Bing. Of course I know. I have been to all 4 mortal realms. Leng Bing blushed and said, I thought you had only been to the North Mortal Realm and the East Mortal Realm, but then again, do you know other ways to go to the Mortal Realm? Zhu Yun thought for a while and said, if we were in the Juyu land at that time, we could actually pass through the Juyu land to reach the East Mortal Realm, and then transfer to the Bifan Realm through the passage of the East Mortal Realm. This would not cause any problems. Wrong move. He could calculate the time, but it would be faster than coming here like this. Leng Bing shook his head and said, that's too complicated. Besides, fellow Taoist, are you sure you won't go wrong? No, Zhu Yun said with a smile, these passages are actually connected. I even suspect that the passage from the 4 mortal worlds to the spiritual world may actually be this one. How do you say this? Leng Bing was stunned for a moment. No matter which realm you are in, you have to pass through a teleportation array to reach this passage valley. And these 4 mortal realms can be connected, so. A flash of light suddenly appeared in Leng Bing's eyes, and he said, Friend Zhu, your words suddenly reminded me of a legend from the spiritual world. What legend? Zhu Yun suddenly wondered. The legend is that in our world, there is actually no difference between the spiritual world and the mortal world. The spiritual world and the mortal world belong to the same continent. But later, I don't know what happened, the mountains and seas shook, and the continent fell into pieces. The continent in the middle, it became the spiritual world, while the other 4 pieces drifted away with the current and became the 4 mortal worlds. Zhu Yun was shocked. If this was true, it would explain why the wild sea areas were connected. But could an ordinary earthquake in the mountains and rivers cause the continent to separate like this, and have the spiritual power be affected by it? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1494. I know that the fairy world is currently uneasy, and I know of the fairy world's conspiracies from time to time. Zhu Yun could not help but wonder if the yellow star's behavior was also related to the fairy world. Qingping star can be destroyed by demons from outside the territory. What about yellow stars? He didn't know the specific location of Xianxia. But this conjecture is also possible. For example, why did the Diwu glass mirror shatter in Xianxia? Did someone do this on purpose? And, why is the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra stored on the yellow star? In other words, there are many world stars. In fact, just like the yellow stars, the 5 elements loose immortals use the same method to spread the 5 elements Chaos Sutra in the lower world. But it is undeniable. Zhu Yun thought that there must be something fishy about this yellow star. It's just that at his level, he can't discover it at all. When I heard this legend at that time, I didn't take it to heart. Even all my colleagues did the same. Over time, when no one mentioned this matter, the younger cultivators naturally didn't know about it. If you hadn't just told me about it, this passage has opinions that even I can't remember. Zhu Yundao said, fellow Daoist Leng, this is definitely not a legend. It is most likely true. Leng Bing asked curiously, what do you think, fellow Taoist Zhu? I have no idea at all, Zhu Yun said with a bitter smile, this is definitely not a level we can access. I just wonder why this continent is divided into 5 pieces. Who knows, Leng Bing smiled and said, maybe it's about integrating the 5 elements. The 5 elements are arranged in order according to certain rules. Zhu Yun had never thought about this. If it were based on the number in the mortal world, relatively speaking, he would care more. Because his 4 directions divine beast fist was finally realized after experiencing every mortal world. No, no. Suddenly, Zuyun remembered the situation when Tu Duduo was practicing. Tu Duduo has never been to any mortal world before, but he has practiced the four directions divine beast fist. Could it be that this has nothing to do with Sifang? Friend Zudeo, I almost forgot, you are a member of the Five Elements spiritual roots and the Five Elements sect. Seeing Zhu Yunchen nagging, Leng Bing said with a smile. This may not have anything to do with the Five Elements, but... Zhu Yun hesitated to speak. After all, the two cultivated in different ways. Even if Leng Bing's realm was much higher than his, he might not be able to give Zhu Yun some guidance in this regard. But what? Leng Bing was an outsider, so he said casually, everything in the world is a coincident avenue. This was originally a continent and was divided into 5 parts. Could it be that it is still the Yin-Yang Avenue? Or the 3 Talents Avenue, or the 4 Symbols Avenue? The implication is that this continent is divided into 5 parts, which must be the 5 elements. 1 is born with 2, 2 begets 3, and 3 begets all things. Chaos can be divided into Yin and Yang, or into 3 talents, so it can be divided into 4 images and 5 elements. On the other hand, if the 4 images become chaos, and then divided into 5 elements, it seems like, it's not impossible. Suddenly, Zhu Yun's eyes lit up. Although he is practicing the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra. But in the end, he cultivated his Danshan into Chaos Lotus. So, can he have Chaos Lotus? Divide Yin and Yang, divide into 3 talents, divide into 4 images. As soon as he thought about this, Zhu Yun's mind suddenly became enlightened. Leng Bing also suddenly noticed the change in Zhu Yun's aura, and couldn't help being shocked. It wasn't until his aura slowly subsided that he asked in a startled voice, Friend Zhu Dao, have you gained enlightenment again? Above nascent soul, if you understand the truth, you may break through at any time. But Zhu Yunming had just broken through the void refining stage not long ago. The Tao is enlightened, Zhu Yun did not deny it, but smiled, but it still needs proof. If my conjecture is confirmed, maybe not only can I uncover the secret of the division of the continent, but I can also make a breakthrough. Hearing this, Leng Bing took a deep breath and said, I wish fellow Taoist you all the best in talent, and Leng feels inferior to you. If you want to achieve a breakthrough here, Leng can help you protect the law. Leng Bing was not interested in why the continent was divided. On the contrary, if Zhu Yun can break through, he can also have a deeper relationship with Zhu Yun in addition to protecting the law. There is no hurry about the breakthrough for the time being. Let's explore the demonic ruins first. It's not that Zhu Yun is not in a hurry, but right now, he still lacks many conditions. Now that he has a guess in his mind, he still needs to go to the 4 mortal realms respectively to transform the 5 elements into chaos and the chaos into 4 phenomena. This may waste more time, and I'm afraid we won't be able to wait until evil cultivators become rampant. Just like what he said to a group of demon cultivators, there is no peace in the world. If the time comes to go to the mortal world and seek enlightenment, I am afraid it will be difficult to do so. Then let's go. Fellow Taoist Zhu, please come with me. Leng Bing also calmed down and continued to lead the way. Zhu Yun said, Fellow Daoist Leng, I want to go to Bifan realm through this passage, but what do I say? Leng Bing heard the hidden meaning, and it was obvious that Zhu Yun had some means to see through the fog, so he said, Friend Zhu, we are going in the opposite direction and it is very easy to go wrong. When we encounter an intersection, we need to identify the signs. Opposite the north direction, go west, and you need to be careful to reach the Xianxia realm. That's it, Zhu Yun understood immediately and said with a smile, just do whatever I want. As he spoke, he was already walking in front of Leng Bing and used the void-breaking spiritual eye technique. With this technique, he could instantly see through the fog, and Zhu Yun indeed discovered a different path to the west. If you go in the same direction, you won't find that you are going the same way. When they walked back, they could see that there was a fork in the road. The spiritual power was lingering at the intersection, but it was hard to tell what its attributes were. Zuyun secretly paid attention, thinking that it was the spiritual power that created the mark that Leng Bing mentioned. Perhaps, this would have a certain effect on his enlightenment at that time. After reaching this fork in the road, they continued to head west and passed several intersections. Zuyun also used this as a mark. Finally, they walked for a full hour. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in front of the two people, making them unable to open their eyes. The dazzling white light came and went quickly. When it dissipated, they had already appeared in the northern Fan realm. Fellow Daoist Zhu, what kind of pupil technique did you use? Leng Bing said meaningfully. Zuyun did not hide it and smiled, a pupil technique called Pakuling Jingju, which is not worth mentioning. If fellow Daoist Leng wants to learn it, we can go back to the spirit realm at that time. Leng Bing did not understand. Zuyun smiled and said, I wonder if fellow Daoist Leng has heard of the Lin family, the guides. It seems, I have heard of it. Leng Bing thought about it carefully, but he was not sure. The guides are the family that leads the cultivators in the mortal world to the spiritual world so that they will not get lost. This is one of the Lin family's unique skills. I was fortunate to learn it and passed it on to some Yuanying cultivators in the mortal world. However, those cultivators took the initiative to build a sculpture for me, and also engraved the key to this method next to the sculpture. Leng Bing was incredulous, you passed this wonderful technique to others. Zuyun immediately asked back, why not? In this way, there will be more human cultivators in the spiritual world. It can be regarded as an unintentional planting of willows and a shade of willows. Don't we need more cultivators to deal with evil cultivators? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1495. The Art of Breaking the Void Spiritual Eyes is just a small episode. After the two of them identified the direction, they headed north. The far north of the northern icefield was originally a gathering place for ice monsters. But since Zuyun came to Bifan realm last time, he solved the racial hatred between Bifan realm. Although the Lu family is still the only one, it is no longer as domineering as before. Along the way, you can occasionally see groups of ice monsters. Similarly, these ice demons looked at Zuyun and the two with no hostility, but just looked at them curiously. It's magical, Leng Bing was very surprised and said, Zhu Daoist, what exactly did you do in the Bay Mortal realm? Last time, although I accidentally discovered the ruins, many people in the Demon King realm were killed at that time. The ice demon is chasing. In the far north of the northern icefield, the ice demon occupies the ideal time and place. The ice demon in the Demon King realm can be said to be invincible here. Leng Bing did suffer a lot back then. It just allows them to enter the path to immortality and pursue a broader path to immortality in the spiritual world. Zuyun said lightly. So that's how it is, Leng Bing believed deeply. At this stage of his life, his Xianxia seemed to have weakened, but in fact he wanted to achieve enlightenment and ascend to heaven more than anyone else. Enlightenment is difficult. In addition, as their longevity is long, they will inevitably feel lonely in their hearts if they stay in seclusion for too long, and their mentality will also change to some extent. Thinking from the perspective of these ice monsters at this time, Zuyun's move was indeed a great kindness. Cutting off a person's path to immortality is like killing his parents. Has their path to immortality been paved? There is no doubt that Zuyun helped pave the way for the ice demon here to cultivate immortality. If I remember correctly, it's right ahead. After flying for several days, Leng Bing suddenly pointed to the distance and said, the closer we get to the north, the colder it gets. The ice demon that could be seen from time to time gradually disappeared. It was extremely cold at this time, with strong winds and ice blades. If it weren't for the fact that both of them were far beyond nascent soul, they probably wouldn't be able to persevere. Where? Zuyun glanced down, they all seemed to be the same, there was nothing special about them. Let's talk about it after we get there. The ruins will be under 10,000 years of ice. Lengbing explained that he would fall first, followed by Zuyun. But just as his feet touched the ground suddenly shook. Both of them were shocked. The ice under their feet quickly cracked, and a powerful demonic force came out and rushed towards the two of them. But in the blink of an eye, this demonic power turned into layers of ice barriers, seeming to completely trap the two of them. Bless you, fellow Taoist, be careful. Lengbing's face condensed, and he reminded him that he had enough demonic energy to shoot forward with his backhand. The demonic energy he cultivates also contains ice energy, and his level is also high, so he can naturally see the flaws in these ice barriers. Crack. When the demonic energy reaches it, the ice barrier quickly cracks. But the demonic power continued to pour out, breaking through a layer of ice barriers, but several ice barriers came over. Friend Zhu, come and help me. Lengbing also noticed something was wrong. It was a little difficult for him to deal with the demonic power coming out from under the ice. I am still comfortable in the spiritual world, but I am restricted everywhere in the mortal world. Lengbing murmured in his heart, and Zuyun also took action immediately. However, what Lengbing didn't expect was that Zuyun actually took out an ice spirit bead. Under his command, the ice spirit pearl began to absorb the ice demon power here. Suddenly, Lengbing's pressure was greatly reduced. Bless you, fellow Taoist, your method saves effort. Lengbing immediately stopped and became a spectator on the side. Zuyun smiled and said, do you know what happened here? The last time I came here, there were monsters waiting here. Lengbing spread his soul along the cracks and said, it wasn't like last time. This demonic power is so cold and pure. There must be an ice demon practicing here, or guarding the ruins, right? The ice spirit pearl is the ultimate treasure of the ice system. In the mortal world, and in Zuyun's hands, it is simply an incomprehensible existence. No matter how strong the demon cultivators here are, they can only reach the Demon King realm. One spiritual beat is enough. If you investigate carefully, maybe there are also magical beasts in the mortal world. Thinking of the extreme demon he encountered in Dongsheng realm, although Zuyun was relaxed at this moment, he did not dare to let down his guard. But as soon as he finished speaking, the demonic aura around him suddenly disappeared. The layers of ice barrier also turned into ice and fell to the ground. Huh! Zuyun was stunned for a moment, and then he knew it was the work of a demon. Presumably Zuyun stopped because the other party saw that it was not effective and that continuing to use the demonic power might be an advantage to Zuyun. After putting away the ice spirit orb, Zuyun spread his soul around. But soon, the ground shook again, and several cracks appeared in the ice. Bless you, fellow Taoist, be careful, there is an ice demon down here. It is extremely powerful. Suddenly, a cold voice came, and Zuyun was also shocked. A person in the tribulation stage is called extremely powerful. It is conceivable that this ice demon may really threaten him. Get up first. Zuyun uttered two words, took back his soul, and quickly took off into the sky. Lengbing also followed closely behind. Moment. The ice layer completely collapsed, and what followed was a deep roar of beasts. Who dares to break into my ice demon forbidden area? The roar came, and even the storm in the sky stopped at that moment. Zuyun looked stern, secretly thinking that this might be a bit difficult to deal with. Under the condition of limited realm, if they encounter a huge monster, they may not necessarily have the upper hand. Fellow Daoist Leng, I'm afraid it's a little difficult to deal with. Zuyun looked solemn, and Lengbing couldn't understand why there was such a powerful demon cultivator here. Logically speaking, when one reaches the ultimate state, he should go to the spiritual world. Why stay here and be unable to continue to make breakthroughs? It's just that this demon cultivator said this is a forbidden area. The last time he came here, he had never experienced anything like this. Has anything changed here over the past few thousand years? An ice demon discovered the ruins and entered it. The two floated side by side in the air, looked at each other, and decided to wait until the ice demon appeared. After a while, the ice completely collapsed and was bottomless. At the same time, there were waves of heavy breathing sounds coming from below. If this monster is so big, it may be difficult for us to deal with it. Leng Bing frowned and said intently. The bigger the demon cultivator is, the stronger the strength. Otherwise, why would no one dare to mess with the giant deep-sea monster in the wild sea? So, it's better not to take action if you can. Zuyun also looked solemn. After another moment, an extremely huge snake head poked out from the abyss. Both of them were concentrating, but they saw that the demon cultivator suddenly regained his demonic aura, then turned into a human form and ran straight into the air. I've seen Zhu Xian. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1496. This scene made Zuyun and Leng Bing completely dumbfounded. You know me. After a while, Zuyun pointed at his nose and asked. I know. Who else in this mortal world doesn't know Zhu Xian? What the ice demon said was a bit natural, and Leng Bing was extremely shocked. Although the ice demon has turned into a human form, from what he saw just now, he may not be able to defeat him in this mortal world. Of course, if it were in the spirit world, Leng Bing could suppress it with just one finger. You know me, which means you have also been to the south of the mortal world. Then why do you stay here again? Zuyun thought for a while and asked. Zhu Xian doesn't know something. The ice demon first held his hand, and then said, there is a magic trace here, which will constantly affect us ice demons, causing them to lose their minds. Among the tribe, I am the strongest, so I came to guard here. Leng Bing was puzzled and asked, I have been here before, but I have never been affected by any demonic energy. When did this start to happen? Both he and Zuyun thought of their experiences in Qingping Fairy Kingdom. Especially the Demon Dragon Valley group. Not long after Zhu Xian left last time, something happened here. The ice demon told the truth, while Zuyun looked at Leng Bing. Leng Bing said, I don't know why this is the case, but I can let the thorn demon find out. That's fine. Zuyun responded, and Leng Bing summoned the thorn demon. After a few instructions, the thorn demon jumped to the ground. Zhu Xian and the senior are here for the magic trace? If possible, please Zhu Xian destroy this magic trace. Hearing the ice demon's request, Zuyun couldn't help but smile and said, are you afraid that you won't be able to go to the spirit world if you stay here? The ice demon was struck by what he said, and he laughed sarcastically and said, I wish you a bright future. This is one, and the other is, this evil energy will spread out and become stronger and stronger. Now I can still guard this place, but one day, this demonic energy will exceed the limit of my ability, and I am afraid that the mortal world will be affected. That's it, Zuyun nodded and looked at Leng Bing. Both of them knew it well. Under the influence of this demonic energy, there must be an extraterrestrial demon causing trouble here. Moreover, this extraterrestrial demon also appeared in a short period of time. In the mortal world, if we fight 3 against 1, we will definitely have a chance of winning. Leng Bing also included the thorn demon. Zuyun turned to look at the ice demon and said, you leave first, so as not to affect you later. This senior is a demon cultivator, and the demonic energy here cannot affect him. The ice demon looked worried and said, Zhu Xian, this devilish energy. It doesn't matter, Zuyun interrupted him rudely and said with a smile, just go ahead and leave this place to us. Then thank you Zuxian. The ice demon knelt down out of thin air and bowed to Zuyun. When Jinsu stood up, he remembered something again and bowed to Leng Bing. Thank you, senior. Seeing Leng Bing nodded, he stood up, transformed into his own body and landed on the ice field. It turned out to be a snake. I thought it was a snake. Zuyun couldn't help but smile as he watched the ice snake swimming on the ice field. After another moment, Leng Bing also received the message from Thorn Demon. The source of the evil energy comes from the ruins, let's get there quickly. Walk. Zuyun and Leng Bing escaped directly into the abyss and discovered a strange underground palace at the bottom. Only one ancient wall is exposed in the underground palace, and the entrance is a gate that only allows one person to enter. On the stone walls on both sides of the gate, two ferocious beast faces are carved. Zuyun couldn't recognize what race it was, so he must be an extraterrestrial demon. The beast's face was lifelike, its mouth wide open, as if it was roaring at the two people. Blessings, fellow Taoist, please. Leng Bing made a gesture, and Zuyun did his part and entered the door directly. When the line became dark, Zuyun used the shattering void spirit eye technique. There was still an open space visible all around, but what interested him more was the demonic energy flowing around from time to time. Wisps, more like substantial black liquid, are floating in this space. After taking a few steps forward, Zuyun suddenly realized something was wrong. He quickly turned his head and looked back. Where's Leng Bing? Where's the door? His expression changed. Although he had not paid attention to it before, his spiritual awareness at this time did not know that such a change had occurred. Was it Leng Bing's doing? Zuyun also came up with this idea involuntarily. It's not that he's suspicious. After all, Leng Bing has been here before. After releasing his soul, Zuyundu did not detect the cold aura until he explored the entire open space. You were transferred after entering the door? This is unlikely. I happened to be using the void-breaking spiritual eye technique. Why didn't I notice it? Zuyun was depressed, but now he was separated from Leng Bing, so he could only walk alone. At the foot, there is a path paved with bricks and stones of the same color as the ancient wall, winding and leading into the distance. There was no sense of crisis, but Zuyun didn't dare to neglect, and he still gathered the power of chaos in both hands. As long as there is the slightest situation, he will take action immediately. If it wasn't Leng Bing who did it, it must be the extraterrestrial demon. Zuyun thought to himself, stepping on stone bricks one step at a time and moving forward slowly. After leaving this open space, Zuyun walked onto a long corridor. On both sides of the corridor, there are also ancient walls that are closed. When he stepped on it, the air suddenly moved, and the long burning lamps embedded in the wall suddenly lit up. I don't know how many lamps were lit at the same time. The bright flames swayed on Zuyun's face, which was indescribably strange. Zuyun couldn't hear any movement except his own breathing. And looking straight ahead, I saw the bright flames extending all the way down, but I couldn't see where they led to. There's a ghost here. Zuyun didn't walk down the corridor directly, but he changed the breaking void spirit eyes art to the divine eyes art. The sight changed in an instant, and Zuyun saw the abnormality. So that's it? He moved in his heart and withdrew the divine eyes art. Although he had reached the void refining stage, because his 5 incarnations were all separated, the chaotic power stored in his body was still not as good as his divine transformation stage. If he didn't withdraw the divine eyes art, he would be exhausted soon. Lu Chen pretended not to see anything, slowly squatted down, and took out a fire spirit bead from the ring. After recalling it in his mind, he flicked the spirit bead out with his thumb, just like playing with De Go and Ergo in the open space of Huangshi Mountain when they were young. Ding 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 ding. The sound gradually faded away, and the fire spirit bead disappeared into the darkness. Huh, so deep. Zuyun muttered to himself, and took out another earth spirit bead. As if he was very cautious, he also flicked out this earth spirit bead. At the end of the corridor, a dormant creature just watched Zuyun flick out one spirit bead after another. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1497. A total of 9. Zuyun seemed to have taken out the spirit bead accidentally, but in fact he had made preparations. The 9 spirit beads are completely different. It was still sent by all the immortals during the fusion of Yang fire. This brought Zuyun's reserve of spirit beads to an extremely exaggerated level. He didn't even count how many kinds there were. Anyway, as long as he can imagine, there is it. It's extremely easy to pick 9 different ones. The 9 spirit beads, under his subtle control, stopped at different locations in the corridor. As long as he thinks about it, the 9-turn-9 Yang spiritual formation will quickly take shape. When he just used the divine eye technique, he saw the end of the corridor at a glance. In fact, this is only 5 feet away in total. But at the end of the corridor, there is a creature dormant. Zuyun couldn't be sure whether this was King Han, the demon beast, or an extraterrestrial demon. But it's never a mistake to be careful. After everything was ready, Zuyun stepped onto the corridor pretending to be careful. Without the help of the divine eye technique, his whole body was focused on the 9 spirit beads. He had already tried the power of the extraterrestrial devil in the East mortal realm. Some of the methods were so unexpected that he didn't dare to use himself to test how powerful the extraterrestrial demon was. But what is certain is that this extraterritorial demon is not a thorn demon. This shows that this matter has nothing to do with Leng Bing. After stepping onto the corridor, Zuyun deliberately looked left and right, as if observing whether there were any clues among the ever-brightening lights. I didn't intend to check it, but I didn't expect that Zuyun also made a new discovery. A long-lasting lamp is not as simple as an ordinary lamp holder with a candle on it. Each lamp is actually the head of an animal, with different expressions. Either open your eyes, open your mouth, or frown. An extraterrestrial demon. Zuyun murmured to himself. He could recognize that this was exactly the same as the head on the ancient wall outside the ruins. Is this intentional or unintentional? The methods of the extraterrestrial demons were beyond Zuyun's imagination. He did not dare to gamble, so he could only observe them carefully. But the only thing that can be confirmed is the corresponding lamps on the ancient walls on both sides are the same. After walking a few more steps, Zuyun wrote down the expressions of these lamps one by one, but inadvertently ignored how far he had walked. This corridor was only a few feet long in total, and he didn't realize that he had reached the end. Also at this time, the creature suddenly activated. Roar. A roar, like thunder on the ground. It opened its mouth suddenly, and spit out wisps of black gas, heading straight for Zuyun's door. Not good. Zuyun was shocked and turned pale. He quickly came back to his senses. With a thought in his heart, the 9 spirit beads instantly emitted 9 rays of brilliance. Spirit formation, start. The brilliance swirled around and quickly trapped Zuyun in it. This was originally a 9-turn-9 Yang spiritual formation intended to deal with that creature, but it turned out to be just a way for Zuyun to save his life. The creature rushed over suddenly, and the 9-colored brilliance swayed wildly, but it could not hurt the root. When the creature saw this, he turned around and left without hesitation. At this moment, the open flames on both sides of the corridor were extinguished instantly. All around, darkness returned. At the same time, the corridor began to move, and even though he was in the formation, Zuyun heard the sounds of friction. There is movement over there, Thorn Demon, lead the way. The underground palace was extremely quiet, and the movement on Zuyun's side was immediately heard by Leng Bing. But he didn't have Zuyun's pupil skills, so he could barely see the terrain clearly. Fortunately, there was a stabbing demon who could lead the way. Roar! The thorn demon roared and jumped out. Lengbing locked the chi machine on the stabbing demon and followed closely. It's not that he doesn't want to use his soul to investigate this place, it's actually that the loose strands of solid demonic energy will interfere with his soul. But as the sound disappeared, Thorn Demon and Lengbing lost their direction again and stopped helplessly. This underground palace has changed from last time. It must be the work of that monster. Compared to Zuyun, Lengbing can detect the situation here and is more cautious. But the terrain had changed, and even if his memory was the same as before, it was useless, so he and the Thorn Demon could only walk cautiously deeper. Can you smell the breath of fellow Taoist Zhu? Lengbing had no choice but to turn to the Thorn Demon for help. But the Thorn Demon's response also made him extremely helpless. Oh, I can only look over there again. Lengbing had no choice but to give the order to Thorn Demon again. But the problem is, the voice is ahead, but the road to the underground palace is not straight. In the previous rush, they also passed through several stone houses, small gardens, and various corridors. Otherwise, if you can hear the sound, how can you still not find it? I hope fellow Taoist is okay. Lengbing was also helpless, thinking that there would be no problem in returning to find the ruins again. But who would have thought that he was careless? If something happens to Zuyun, it might be the spirit world. At this time, Zuyun also completely calmed down his mind. But he did not go out directly from the 9-turn 9-yang spiritual formation. The pure demonic energy just now must be the demon from outside the territory. But, is it originally in this ruins, or does it come from the Qingping Fairy Kingdom? Zuyun secretly guessed, but felt that both possibilities were very low. According to the Ice Demon King, the changes in the ruins occurred since he left last time. Why is it such a coincidence? Secondly, there seems to be no connection between Qingping Immortal Kingdom and Bifan Realm. Even if there is, it should be in the East Mortal Realm. For example, the teleportation array in the palace was teleported directly to the Misty Forest. Wait. Suddenly a flash of inspiration flashed in Zuyun's mind, and he remembered a legend he had mentioned to Lengbing when he was traveling retrograde in that passage. The four mortal realms are originally one with the spiritual realm. So is there a possibility that this extraterrestrial devil accidentally came to the Bifang realm and found this ruins? The appearance of the ruins is no longer verifiable. But having learned the orthodox demonic skills from Lengbing here, some facts can be determined. This is set up here by the demons in the fairy world. So is there a possibility that there is also a teleportation array? With this thought, Zuyun couldn't stop anymore. The extraterrestrial demon is very careful. It seems that we should look for Lengbing first. Maybe we can learn something, so we can judge the situation in the ruins and be better able to find this extraterrestrial demon again. Thinking of this, Zuyun immediately left the 9-turn 9-yang spiritual array. He did not continue forward, but returned along the same path. But again he ignored a problem. When he entered the spiritual formation, the extraterrestrial demon had already changed the terrain here. It's the same way back, but it's no longer at the entrance. Zuyun did not use the divine eye technique and did not notice anything unusual here. All this was taken for granted, and by the time he found out, he had already fallen into a pool. The pool is not water, but the endless solidified demonic energy. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1498. Not good. Zuyun exclaimed and quickly wanted to get out of the pool, but he did not expect that the energy of these spirits and demons were controlled by the extraterrestrial demons, and actually turned into black claws, clawing at Zuyun. Body. Chaos force, rise. Zuyun shouted in his heart, and golden light suddenly appeared on the chaos lotus. The originally gray-white chaos force was also filled with faint golden light. Without using any spells, Zuyun actually jumped out of the pool of demon energy. Disperse. The black claws remaining on his protective clothing also dispersed into balls of demonic energy, and then flowed towards the pool. Zuyun's heart moved. Just now he wanted to hold me and not let me go. Now he wants to go back. He stretched out his hand and slapped it out. Chaos Palm. On the Chaos Lotus, the chaos power in the heart of a Chaos Lotus glowing with golden light was directly drained away. With the force of the palm, the power of those demons quickly disappeared out of thin air. Zuyun looked stern and saw the aftermath of his palm hitting the black pool. Wow! The liquid-like demonic energy quickly caused a ripple, but soon returned to calm. But Zuyun is so experienced. He saw that his chaos palm could disperse the demonic energy attached to his body, so he thought it would also be effective for this black pond. So when he looked over, he noticed the wall of the black pool. The surface of the pond seems to have dropped a lot. It seems that my chaos power can restrain the power of these demons. This idea immediately appeared in Zuyun's mind, and he recalled that the last time he fought with an extraterrestrial demon, it was when the water incarnation fought against the extreme demon in the East Victory realm. In addition, I have played around with the thorn demon, but this has never happened before. Could it be that? Watching the golden light gradually dissipate, Zuyun suddenly realized it. This change in the power of chaos happened after I completely integrated the Qingping Fairy Kingdom and the Dazhu world. In addition to the original power of the universe world, there is also the power of faith. And I wonder if the power of destiny can be used for me. Zuyun's eyes suddenly flashed with light, and he didn't know how his strength had changed to this point. But the current result is of great benefit to him. If that's the case, then I will dissipate all the demonic energy in this black pool. Zuyun did what he said. He did not attack the black pool all at once, but first buried 9 spirit beads around himself to prevent the sudden attack of the extraterrestrial demon. Following the original path, he ended up somewhere else. Zuyun didn't believe it was related to the ruins. It is obvious that the demon from outside the territory is lurking somewhere secretly, and may even be paying attention to this place. Now that Leng Bing has gone to nowhere, Zuyun has also made the worst plan, that is, he will explore the ruins alone. And obviously, no matter where this extraterrestrial devil comes from, it will definitely be the only known danger to this ruins. As long as it is solved, Zuyun will have a worry-free journey. Dark places. As Zuyun thought, the demon outside the territory was indeed watching Zuyun's every move. After it discovered that Zuyun's chaos palm could have such a miraculous effect, it was ready to take action at any time and swallowed Zuyun in one bite. But he didn't expect that Zuyun buried 9 spirit beads. When the outline was growing, the extraterrestrial demon bit down on the 9 turns and 9 suns, almost breaking its demon teeth. Seeing the position of the 9 spirit beads again, the demon from outside the territory was naturally wary, and could only watch quietly as Zuyun's palm power hit all of them on the black pool. This black pool was what it planned to use against Zuyun, but now instead of having an effect, Zuyun might have destroyed all the demonic energy in the black pool. If the water in the pool reaches the bottom, not only will it lose its support, but the ruins will also become brighter. When the time comes, it will have nowhere to hide. As time goes by, the demon outside the territory feels less and less the spirit of the demon, and he becomes more and more anxious. Finally, it made a decision. All we can do is fight. Relying on the thick flesh pads under his limbs and claws and his familiarity with the terrain, the extraterrestrial demon quietly moved towards Zuyun. It absolutely does not dare to pass by those 9 spiritual beads, so it must choose an appropriate detour. In its view, Zuyun was careful, but just laying down 9 spirit beads behind him was a little off. Just when Zuyun launched a chaos palm move against the pool surface again, the demon outside the territory moved. However, it was equally cautious and did not choose to attack Zuyun directly with its physical body. Instead, it chose to control Black Pool. Boom! The black pool exploded, and the demon energy in the pool suddenly raised a black pillar, turned into a giant claw, and slammed towards Zuyun. And the outflow of countless demonic energy also caused the surface of the pool to drop a lot again. Zuyun has always been vigilant. Although he is using the Chaos Palm, he still retains a certain degree of control. The black claw suddenly came, and he reacted very quickly. With a backhand palm, he activated the majestic Chaos Palm and rushed towards the black claw. The two palms met and there was a loud noise. The power of chaos is constantly eating away at the spirit of the demons, but the power of chaos is also constantly dissipating. This is cancelling each other out, and it is a way of competing to see who has the more mellow power. At this time, the demon from outside the domain also roared, poured all his strength into his four legs, and rushed towards Zuyun like a hungry tiger. It opened its bloody mouth and pointed directly at its neck. Seeing that Zuyun seemed to be unable to react in time, the demon from outside the domain suddenly glowed red in his eyes, with a hint of cruelty and excitement. It could already imagine that Zuyun would die in its mouth. But it underestimated Zuyun. This was Zuyun who had fought wits and courage with cultivators who were higher than his realm countless times. He had already taken precautions, especially when the black pool suddenly changed. Eternal Life Art. Zuyun's feet were full of wind, and with the Chaos Palm in his hand, he could no longer control the chaos force under his feet. But the magic of the Eternal Life Art was that he could move with only physical strength. It seemed as if he had eyes behind his neck, and he just moved 2 steps lightly to avoid the fatal blow of the demon from outside the domain. Crack! The sound of sharp teeth colliding and cracking came, and the demon from outside the domain seemed to have bitten nothing, and because of excessive force, his mouth was full of pain. Roar! It roared and went into the black pool, and its figure disappeared. You should be careful. Zuyun also praised in his heart. No wonder this demon from outside the domain can survive. No wonder it is like this. But since you have appeared, can I let you run away? Zuyun's mind moved, and a handful of spirit beads appeared in his hand in an instant. These spirit beads all have the same attribute. Gold, golden spirit beads. Zuyun raised his hand, and dozens of golden spirit beads spread out, surrounding the black pool. The stars are changing. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1499. Facing unknown dangers, Zuyun never reveals all his cards. He buried 9 spirit beads, but he never thought he would use them. The real killer move is the Dozhuan Xinyi formation. Both formations have their own merits. But the Dozhuan Xinyi formation is used to deal with such ever-changing dangers, and there are more ways to deal with it. This will be Zuyun's choice this time. With golden light rising, Zuyun suddenly appeared in a void, and countless stars were also golden. In front of him was the black pool. The black pool seemed to have completely separated from the ruins and was floating in the void. Zuyun smiled contemptuously, I want to see how long you can hide in this black pool. When he first fought with the extraterritorial demon, Zuyun had already felt the opponent's cunning and caution. And the opponent had the advantage of time and place. If he took the initiative to attack, he would inevitably be led by the nose. Therefore, only by luring it out and then trapping it, the initiative will be in his hands. However, Zuyun's chaos power was also consumed a lot after several moves of Chaos Palm, his several Chaos Lotus hearts became completely empty. After confirming that there would be no accidents in the Dozhuan Xinyi formation, Zuyun flashed away from the formation. After listening carefully, the surroundings were silent, and after observing with the divine eye technique, he flashed into the immortal mansion. He didn't know how to draw power from the universe. If he wanted to recover quickly, it would be the wisest choice to sit at the edge of the void and absorb the free chaos power. After nodding slightly with a group of immortal medicines, Zuyun began to practice the qi refining method. Compared with the previous god transformation stage, the speed of refining chaos power in the void refining stage is faster and more efficient. Zuyun was fully focused and did not stop for a moment. At this time, in the ruins, the vibration of his chaos palm and the black claw was transmitted from the darkness to the distance. Over there, can you feel the demonic energy? Lengbing quickly looked in the direction where the sound came from, and communicated with the thorn demon in his mind. Roar! The thorn demon roared in response, indicating that Lengbing's perception was not wrong. Maybe fellow deist Zhu is in trouble, let's go over and take a look. At Lengbing's command, the thorn demon jumped out. But in this relic, although the sound was not far away, it was not so easy to go directly. In addition, the terrain had been changed by the extraterritorial demons. After several times, he felt that he was getting closer, but he would go to another place along the road. He had no way to deal with this, so he could only use a stupid method and order the thorn demon to leave a mark on the road he passed. After several hours, Zuyun slowly woke up in the immortal mansion. Feeling that his body was full of chaotic power again, he was not happy at all. Because the chaotic power condensed this time was not golden, it was exactly the same as his previous transformation period. But the realm was clearly the refining period. Strange, what went wrong? He was completely puzzled, only knowing that it must be related to the universe. So, is it the power of faith, or the power of the origin of the universe? While he was thinking hard, Huang Longshu suddenly turned into a human form and walked over. Master, this room has changed. He suddenly came to his senses and looked towards the bedroom. The bedroom, which had been closed and faintly revealed the devilish aura, now had its doors and windows wide open. He clearly remembered that when he was practicing here, the bedroom was closed well. Have you been affected? Zuyun asked, while feeling it carefully, but he did not find any devilish aura leaking out. Originally, he wanted to try to see if he could distinguish the difference between the devilish aura in the house and the devilish aura of the outer demon. But at this time, there was obviously no trace to follow. Unexpectedly, Zuyun walked into the bedroom. As soon as he entered the doors and windows were automatically closed without wind. Thinking of being trapped in a bedroom that was still in pieces by his own chaos avatar, Zuyun was suddenly shocked and subconsciously wanted to push the door open. But the door did not move at all. Then, black demonic energy emerged from the couch and slowly floated towards Zuyun. Zuyun's heart condensed and he immediately gathered the chaos power to form a barrier in front of him. As a result, these demonic energy quickly condensed into a ball and gradually formed a human figure. Zuyun was stunned. There is no doubt that when these demonic energy is fully formed, it will definitely be another Menguia. He did not move, but looked towards the couch. As a result, he was surprised to find that there was a faint array pattern on the couch. This is an array? An array on the bed? Zuyun was a little confused for a while. Regarding this bedroom, he learned from Huang Longshu and other immortal medicines that Nujiao had been trapped in it. Even if she was familiar with the immortal medicines, she could only open the window to communicate. So, the immortal medicines should not know what was wrong with the bed. Zuyun quickly sorted out the information he could know, and the human figure was fully formed at this time. It was a phantom that was exactly the same as Nujiao and Menguia. Immortal Emperor, are you here to see Xiaojiao again? The voice was exactly the same. But this tone. Zuyun suddenly felt like a dream, and suddenly remembered something. When I first met Nujiao, the other party also called her the Immortal Emperor. At that time, The other party explained that she had no eyes, but she just felt the breath of the immortal emperor on Zuyun. But then, from when did Nujiao walk out of the house? Could it be that the Nujiao in front of me is not the same person as the original Nujiao? Or, like a Niao, she also has good thoughts and evil thoughts? Zuyun frowned, and the person in front of him said to himself, "Immortal Emperor, why don't you say anything?" "Immortal Emperor, don't worry, I will definitely solve the problem with the Holy Demon clan." "Immortal Emperor, why did you wait so long to see me this time?" "Immortal Emperor, what do I have to do for you to completely trust me?" Hearing the other party's increasingly excited tone, Zuyun couldn't help but blurt out, "I'm not the Immortal Emperor." "Why aren't you the Immortal Emperor?" "Immortal Emperor, you can't treat me like this just because I can't see, my magic eye was obviously dug out by you, and my magic knife was also thrown away by you, you still love you until death, are you so heartless?" The heart-wrenching cry made Zuyun's heart move. Perhaps, he could get some news from her? What if this Nujiao transformed by the demonic energy is another residual soul of Nujiao? Thinking of this, Zuyun immediately asked, "Do you know where the sword immortal is? Didn't you drive the sword immortal to Huangmingxing?" "I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1500. "Yes, I beat the sword fairy to the yellow star." Zuyun followed his words and added, "I can't remember where I threw your magic sword and magic eye. You were afraid that I would find out about your sleep talking, so you forcibly erased the memory of that period yourself." Zuyun was stunned. How could the immortal emperor do something so amazing and erase his own memory? "And you?" After thinking for a moment, he asked again, "Do you still remember what else was brought out from the Holy Demon clan?" "Immortal Emperor, did you? What happened?" "How?" Zuyundeo said, "Just answer my questions directly." "I brought this bed here, this is a magic jade bed. You can practice demonic energy on it, unfortunately, I only have a remnant soul left and cannot cultivate this demonic energy." Zuyun was secretly surprised and said, "On this magic jade bed, even demon cultivators can practice." "Yes," Nujiao responded, "but the magic jade bed was also destroyed by you, and the bed's marrow was thrown to Huangxingxing." "Bed marrow?" This was the first time Zuyun heard this statement. But what is certain is that this so-called bed marrow must be the core of the magic jade bed. After all, whether it is the slave in front of you or the original slave, you can hide in it. Even after sleeping for thousands of years, the demon soul has not dissipated. Of course, it is also related to the fact that she is a holy demon. But Zuyun believes that the magic jade bed must be more useful. After secretly remembering it in his heart, Zuyun said, "Why did you wake up this time?" "I felt the immortal emperor coming, so I woke up naturally. However, I tried to wake up several times before, but I couldn't. I don't know why." Hearing this, Zuyun was stunned again. "I tried to wake up several times but couldn't wake up. Could it be that another slave suppressed her? It's no wonder that Nujiao's temperament suddenly changed drastically and she said she wanted to leave the immortal mansion. Possible. She is looking for the magic eye and the magic knife? When she was in the secret realm of Xianxia, Nujiao acted like a witch. What was the purpose of going to the secret realm of Xianxia? Also, she hid in the 5 elements section. Zuyun couldn't help but think of all the unreasonable behaviors of Nujiao, and sighed slightly. My knowledge is still a bit shallow. But fortunately, the immortal mansion is still her foundation. Okay, I understand, you go back to sleep. Zuyun turned outside, but then stopped again and said, the bedroom door can't be opened. Is it because of you? The immortal emperor calmed down. Nujiao suddenly knelt down and said, Xiaojiao hasn't seen the immortal emperor for a long time, so she misses him very much. Okay, I get it. I will come over to see you when I have time. By the way, your magic jade bed, since it can warm and nourish the demon soul, what other magical uses does it have? Zuyun also suddenly remembered the situation he encountered in the outside world. Perhaps, this magic jade bed can better solve the current problem. The magic jade bed is actually a magic weapon. Not only can it release demonic energy for me to practice, it can also absorb and refine the demonic energy. Before he finished speaking, Zuyun was overjoyed. What a pity it would be to use your own chaos power to resolve the demon energy that filled the black pool. If this magic jade bed could be sucked away, wouldn't it kill two birds with one stone? But he weighed the pros and cons and said, do you need to control this magic jade bed, or? No, this magic jade bed will absorb the magic energy between heaven and earth on its own. But there is no bed marrow, so I have to control it. Zuyun thought for a moment and then decided to take the magic bed out. In this way, you leave the immortal mansion with me. I found a pool where the spirit of demons gathers. You should be able to absorb it, right? The immortal emperor has your destiny, Xianxia, don't dare to disobey. Nujiao actually knelt down and leaned on the ground. Zuyun's eyes flashed with light, and after taking a breath, he said, then you go back to the magic jade bed first, and I will call you out later. Yes, the immortal emperor. The immortal emperor finally has a use for Xiaoxiao. Nujiao sobbed and turned into streaks of demonic energy again, rushing into the magic jade bed. The bedroom door and window suddenly opened automatically at this time. Zuyun went out and saw Huang Longshu, who was waiting for him. Is master okay? Huang Longshu smiled, his forehead full of wrinkles. Just now, he also felt the endless demonic energy, and was afraid that Zuyun would have an accident. Zuyun sighed slightly and said, there is still a remnant soul of a slave in here. After telling the whole story, Huang Longshu said, Nujiao is a saint of the Holy Demon clan. She has a weird temperament, so it is not surprising that she would do this. But master, are you sure that Nujiao believes it? Have you passed? Seeing Huang Longshu questioning, Zuyun was surprised, that Nujiao who had a great conversation with you earlier. Master, people have 7 emotions and 6 desires. Demons also have them. But the demons show it more obviously. In other words, the demons do whatever they want. If they love without any care. If they hate, they do it. I wish I could tear the opponent into pieces. Unlike the human race, they sometimes know how to restrain themselves. Zuyun could understand what Huang Longshu meant, and after thinking about it carefully, it was indeed true. For example, he does have a place for Menguia and Sun Qiniang in his heart. But looking forward and backward, he just put this thought aside and didn't even decide who he would choose in the end. Think about it, if he is a demon. I definitely wouldn't think about having both. But then, Zuyun smiled bitterly again. How could he have such a strange idea? Master, Huang Longshu said again, according to what you said, I think the Nujiao you first met and the Nujiao you met this time are the same remnant soul. What do you mean? Zuyun was shocked. The Nujiao who talked to us later and left may be the remnant soul of hatred for the immortal emperor. Hearing this, Zuyun sighed deeply. He had actually guessed the result a long time ago. It's just that, from the bottom of his heart, he didn't dare to admit it. I know, you go to practice. Now my realm has also increased. I hope you can go up quickly and transform into a human as soon as possible. Compared with monsters, it is extremely difficult for spiritual medicines to practice to the transformation stage. And immortal medicines are even more so. Huang Longshu's immortal medicines have enough years and have indeed reached the transformation stage. But in fact, it is only the early stage of transformation. They do not have substantial combat power and will not provide any help to Zuyun in this regard. After the evil cultivators were eliminated, Zuyun decided to concentrate on cultivation until he ascended to heaven. After leaving the immortal mansion, Zuyun returned to the ruins again. Stepping into the formation, the black pool was as calm as a dark glass. Zuyun's mind moved, and he connected his mind to the magic jade bed. Come out. He pulled the magic jade bed out of thin air and placed it on the edge of the black pool. Immortal Emperor, have you found the bed essence now? Nu Jiao's upper body sat up from the magic jade bed, her face full of disbelief.